Hey there! It's officially the middle of the year, and so it's time for the mid-year setup. I wanted to make a video where I talk about my process of how I migrate from this old journal to the new one. So in this one, I write a list of all the spreads that I have been using and that I would like to keep, and of those that I would like to try. I usually go to YouTube or other social media to watch mid-year setups so that I can get new ideas. I also want to show you this notebook that I am using to set up my themes. Here, I brainstorm ideas, I gather my color palette as well as my stationery items, and then sketch some doodles. In this way, I have clear in mind what I want and just start recording. I always do this in separate pieces of paper, so I thought why not dedicate an entire journal to have all my brainstorm collections in there. This is from Notebook Therapy, of course. And speaking of which, they were kind enough to send me this beautiful journal from their Cottage core collection, which launched a while ago, and I had been saving it to use it now because I started the year using the Nada notebook, which I think twins really well with this one. It's both about animals but have really soft covers, and this one has beautiful golden edges, this rose gold bookmarks, and I just thought it was the perfect companion for 2024. This one has a beautiful quote here, and also the usual surprise gift, which in this case is a envelope clip. So I was really excited to use this. It's actually one of my favorite designs. I think it's just so cozy, so inspiring. And so I started recording this while I was still in Rome. That's why you can see my sister's little balcony table on the background. And so I just started sketching. You're going to see part of my sketching process, which I barely show. I'm always opening just a notebook with all the sketches on it. And I just wanted to show a little bit of this. I always recommend to use pencil first because I'm always erasing, always changing the setup of things. And so here, as usual, I am starting the design in the brand new notebook with the cover in mind. This one has a bear, and so I am adding a bear here. The idea is to just be inspired by this cute little creature that is going to show up around this setup. And so that was what I was able to record in Rome. Here I'm back in my studio, back at home, and that's where I did most of the recording. I start by setting up my keys. This is an essential part of my bullet journal. If you don't know already, the bullet journal is an organizational method in which you only need a notebook and a pen and to use the bullets, which are exactly what I am writing down right here. The bullets are the symbols that will help you get organized with everything you need to do in your life. In the next portion, I am writing down my weekly color code, which is something I came up with that helps me track some of my habits and how I use my time. I've been really trying to keep up with my routines and with some healthy eating, and I switched the habit of tracking my breathing, but I switched it now for the exercise because man, now I have learned the importance of exercising daily, and so I don't want to miss a day. Anyway, I'll show you in my monthly setup how this weekly habit tracker works. And then I am also adding my monthly checkup. I've been doing this by the end of each month, and this is a series of questions that I can look back on throughout the month and get ready for the next one. So things like lessons learned, what is working, what is not, how to make things better, all this go into a 2-page spread that helps me reset for the next month. So the next collection here is the Spark list, and this is an insert that I used to have just as part of my notebook last time, but I want to cut it out and have it like handy, not only for this notebook but for all the next ones, because I think this is a brilliant idea that helps you at the beginning of each month to brainstorm on the more important things. Like, you write down the things you usually have to organize in your life, all the things. Of course, you're not going to do this every single month, but at least it will help you not forget anything, in all aspects of life. When you have this handy, you can see the things that you need to work on, and especially on those that need the most attention. So that's why I decided to do this as an insert and just take it out whenever I need to start my brainstorming for each month. And now I am doing the handy grid spacing guide. Last time I did this as an insert as well. This is a handy ruler that I will just cut off. So I write down all the grid spaces and separate them in halves, thirds and quarters, which are usually the ones I use. And this is the vertical layout. Once I cut it out, I can flip it and just write the horizontal layout, which is 26 spaces, and again just divide it in half and thirds, which are the ones I use. And in this way I can just take it out and use it as I please. So now I'm going to be pasting this in the back cover, and my cell phone stopped recording right there when I pasted it, but then I was just putting those in place. And yes, you can see I have my key here ready for when I am journaling, and I need to keep it open as I go. And here I realized I had not inked my name, so that's exactly what I'm doing here, which I usually do first, but oh well. Time to finally move on to the cover. I got these watercolor pencils in Rome in this beautiful stationery store, which is called Vertecchi. It's the paradise for all stationery and art lovers, because there were so many things that I wanted to take with me, but of course those things are kind of expensive, so I just got 16 colored pencils, and that was enough to just make my budget for art supplies go low. So anyway, I had been wanting to get these colors because I've had watercolor pencils, but they are not this quality. These are really creamy. Once you activate them, you can't really see the traces, which I love. And so I just fell in love with those. For my quote, I chose all these little steps will add up in the end. I feel that when we all have goals and are working toward them, although it may seem that we are not really getting there, every little thing counts. And so I really like the idea of adding this quote to the bear that is going uphill, and he's just having fun while going up. He has his food with him, and he's enjoying the flowers, the scent of the country air. I've been really inspired by my trip to Ireland recently, which I will make an after the pen video about it, but yeah, I'm really feeling this theme right now. So that was the cover, and now I am moving on to the future log. You might already know that this is an essential part of the bullet journal method, and in here is where all your future tasks and events will be. The method is built one day at a time, so that's why you need this space so that you can schedule any task or any event that falls in any of the months that are not the current one. And actually, Ryder Carroll, which is the creator of the method, he says that you don't need to include the current month, which would be July, in this future log, because that's exactly where you are going to start the journal. But being a bit of a perfectionist, I just like to see all my months complete in harmony on the paper. So I just added for aesthetic purposes. But anyway, what I did here was just color in that bear that is wondering about the weather, pretty much like we wonder about the future. Like there's no way of knowing what it will bring. Now that climate has changed so much, I feel that this is such a fitting illustration for the future log, because you don't really know. All you can do is prepare and expect the best, right? So that's why I wanted to draw this bear ready for good or bad weather, and even when it's bad weather, he is willing to enjoy it. Problems, challenges, difficulties, they are part of life and they help us learn and grow. And so I really like this idea of just comparing the future to the weather, which both are unknown, and even then we just need to learn to deal with them. Right now, as I speak, there's a hurricane in the Caribbean. I think it's hitting the islands right now, or about to hit. The experts say it's really early for a hurricane of that magnitude to form, and it's making its way up to my area, which is kind of scary. But I've said in some videos before that a good idea is to add a go bag or an emergency bag to your belongings, because you never know when you are going to use it. I actually have a list in my previous journal. I don't migrate it because I usually go back to my old journal a lot during the year. So I just add it to the first half of the year, and the next year when I update it and everything, that's when I add it again. But for this notebook, I am just adding very few spreads, as you will see. But anyway, I sidetracked a little bit there. I am setting up the calendar for the future log, which I changed. I used to do the same thing for the past couple of years, and I saw a video here on YouTube from Therese, who is a very talented bullet journaler, and I just loved it. I love how she made the Dutch door with the months and the calendar is peeking behind. Here I added the first 3 months of the next year, because sometimes you need space to write stuff for those 3 months. And so overall I really liked how it looks like this. It's not the complete calendar, it's just the second half and the first trimester of the next year. So of course I felt that the illustration was lacking, and so I had the help of my trusty shimmery gold watercolor. If you know me, you know I just love using my big pen with this watercolor to line things up, and as you can see, it totally changes the vibe and the way it looks. So I decided to line all of the drawings. In a minute here you will see me go back to my cover. I also changed the lettering because I had used just a color pencil, but with the gold it stands out a lot more. So here is the cover. I'm just adding that very much needed sparkle to it, and I just love the end result. It's amazing how a detail like this can really change how it looks and make it happier. Going back to my Cottage Friends washi tape set, I felt that these pages needed a little bit more details, and ever since I was a little girl I just loved tiny stickers, and these not only look beautiful, they bring me back to my childhood. I remember that my sister had this sheet of very tiny stickers, and I just wanted to put them all over the place. That was like the first time I fell in love with those. So I am adding some to these pages, and I also really like to add some quotes, some more life to the page by using these washi tapes that have written little things on it, and now it looks complete to me. It's always about going with what you feel. If it feels too empty, then just add more. Anyway, now this will be the index, and I am grabbing that washi tape which is designed for you to write on it, and I time-lapsed this bit because it was a lot of free lining with some details. Here it looks really fast, but it took some time to do all those little lines. I was inspired by that same washi tape. As you can see, that little frame has lots of little lines, and so I really wanted to copy that and make it a little bit more cohesive. For my bear here, I wanted to draw him looking at an index. I went for these cute bears that evoke kind of my dad. That fatherly figure of a big bear that can hug you in his arms and you'll know that everything is okay. So yeah, pretty much this bear is it's really reminded me of my dad, which I love because I've learned so much from him, and part of who I am is thanks to him and the rest of my family, of course, but the bear has always been to me a symbol of my dad, and I just love it. So again, I lined it all with gold, and as you can see, it looks just so beautiful. The index has always been a sort of weird thing to add because most of the times, to be honest, I forget to fill it in. And it's until the end of the year that I try and go back and feel it, because in the end it's going to be really helpful when you are trying to look up a month, look up a recipe or an event or anything. So that's why I always add it, and since I have a lot of space, I just go to town and make it look spacey. And I'm adding stickers here, washi stickers, but I don't overcrowd it a lot because in the end it's going to be filled with words and I don't want it to be overcrowded. Now I'm moving on to my routines and schedule. This has been a very important part for me. I've mentioned before how my routines include all my health related issues, like taking my supplements, doing what I should in the mornings, at nights, to have a restful night and all that stuff. So it's really, really helpful for me to see like a checklist of the things that I need to do. And then also the schedule. I've always enjoyed schedules a lot. I think they are really nice to look at, but they also help me particularly to organize my time and know which days should I do what. Something I've been doing lately is like to put a title to my day. For example, I have named my Mondays Reset Mondays because that's when I do my cleaning, my organizing, just decluttering my spaces and be ready not just for that day, but for the rest of the week when I can just focus on other things and not have clutter around or things that I need to tidy up. So in that way, I have named my other days according to when I do most work, when I go out, when I need to run errands. Each day has a different name depending on the main activity that I need to do. So that's also helped me a lot to not just be wandering around and not be organized in the things that I need to do. And so it helps me with my priorities, and I just love to have a schedule and know where I'm at in my own timeline. So the birds, of course, are always the morning and the night, as in my previous journals. One is writing because I know that exercise has now to be an essential part of my routine. So I decided to make this little bear on his bicycle doing exercise in the morning, and the one at night is having a cup of tea to try to relax and go to bed early and just be mindful at night and not be just on the phone or on social media, which is something that I also have been working on. Now this is the final spread. I can't believe we are reaching the end of this video. It is a very long video, but those usually are like this. I like to really explain what I'm doing and what I'm doing. And so anyway, this is the When Did I Last, which is really handy for the things that you need to do like repeatedly over the months, but sometimes you forget to keep track, and so you forget to do it. So I've been really using this to things that require action and that you need to have like a record of. And my master to-do list, this has to do with productivity. I always set up goals and projects for the months that will be covered in the journal, and I write them down here so that I know that I need to do this before those months are over. So I am just adding the final details here with that beautiful gold watercolor. I just don't get tired of it. And I'm adding, of course, details with washi tape. This one is from Stationery Pal. I really like the colors, and I am just breaking the washi tape with my hands. I like that like organic look of just tiered paper. So as you can see, it was kind of what the pages needed for them to look complete. Otherwise they look too empty, and I'm all about making happy things. Here's the final flip through. This is the end of the video, and I really loved how it turned out. This notebook is a beautiful design, and I think the setup really honors it with all those bears and these cottage inspired ideas and doodles. I can't wait to start using it. July is here already, so expect my monthly setup to arrive to your screens very soon. Alright, let me know what you think of this setup, and I hope that you have an excellent start to this half of the year. As usual, thank you so much for watching.